Hello my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So guys, if you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Joyce Anyawum. So in today's episode or in today's news, we'll be talking or looking at what has been happening in Nigeria, our beloved country Nigeria. First of all, there is a news or a rumor on going around that Chinese government seized Nigerian plane or jet due to the debt that was owed by Ogun State government. I think according to the news, they say this debt has been there for the past 12 years. So now suddenly they get to lay hands on Nigerian flight or Nigerian jet, and they decided to seize the plane. So right now, according to the news this morning or yesterday, they said inflation in Nigeria has dropped. Oh, this is good news if it is true. It has dropped. So we are happy for that. If after 1 year of suffering, if true it has dropped, we'll be so happy. So my people, as we are going to be listening to Shegun from Channels TV discussing with Mr. Professor Odenta, and after then it will join. It was Daniel, I don't know if I pronounce that name well. He will join, and they will still discuss. They will talk a lot of things. What has been happening in Nigeria, the last protest, a lot. So guys, let's just listen and know what has been going on in Nigeria. Subscribe, share, and click at the notification bell so that whenever I post a video, you will be the first to be notified. So thank you, and let's listen.
State government, the Ogun State government had come out to say, well, this happened 12 years ago. We tried settlement. There was an arbitration. Things they were asking for a ridiculous amount of money. This is looking like a P&ID matter yet again about some unscrupulous companies or persons trying to defraud or trying to swindle a government and thereby using the assets of the federal government that is not supposed to be liable in this sense into all of the scheme of things. So we're hearing from the federal government and also from the Ogun State government. But tonight we dissect for you the state of the nation, those issues that have been the fallout of the nationwide End Bad Government's protest, the state of the Nigerian economy, the oil and gas, and what this means and potent for our nation. Stick with me, everyone, because tonight it's going to be yet another engaging conversation on the program. Before we get into all of that, let's check has been accused of subterfuge after the French court ruled in favor of the firm and granted a seizure of presidential jets belonging to the Nigerian government. The presidential spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, today alleged that the Chinese firm is trying to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria through subterfuge. In a statement released today, part of which with quotes Bayo Onanuga saying, a case in which Zhongshan is trying to use every unorthodox means to strip offshore asset is between the company and the Ogun State government. It has no solid ground to demand restitution from the Ogun State government based on the facts regarding the 2007 contract between the company and the state government to manage a free trade zone. This arm-twisting tactic by the Chinese company is the latest in a long list of failed moves to attach Nigerian government-owned assets in foreign jurisdictions. That's from the presidency, the federal government. But the Ogun State government has also been reacting to these, and there is a long piece in response, trying to backtrack and giving a history of the Chinese company and the Ogun State government. And the Ogun State government today is saying this particular conversation started about 12 years ago with the previous government, an investment that just involved the company building a barbed wire kind of fence as a perimeter fence around the said property, and it looks like a PID kind of matter where some individuals or plan to come into the country with the aim of investing, but then investment gone bad and it's tried to go into arbitration. Let me read some portion of what the Ogun State government has said in this matter to you. The Ogun State government says, quote, shockingly, it also appears to have misled the Judicial Court of Paris as to the use and nature of the asset it seeks to attach and not made full disclosure to the court as required by law. As a portion of the Ogun State government's statement today. The Ogun State government concluded in that statement to say, it is important to know that Ogun State government never gave up on a reasonable settlement option with the most recent letter sent to Xiangshan last week. Unfortunately, Xiangshan only responded after obtaining this latest order. A reasonable and objectively quantifiable settlement figure has always been our preference and continues to be an option in the resolution of the protracted dispute. This is an investment dispute between Ogun State government and this Chinese government, and a matter that has gone into arbitration. Now let's look at the state of the nation holistically. There are a whole lot of lessons to learn, isn't it? For the last day, it's on the first day of August. There's been a lot of turbulence, isn't it? That has affected. The federal government says Nigeria has lost over 500 billion in investment, or in terms of what could have come out as trade in the country, but due to the nationwide August protest of end bad governance. But tonight, let's take a step backward and learn one or two things about where we got to where we are today, some kind of dialectal narratives that have also come into the conversation. Tonight, I'm being joined by a scholar, Professor Udenta. He joins us live here in Abuja. So it's good to see you again, Prof.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much indeed. I appreciate it.
Good.
Let's look at it. A big lesson, isn't it, for the nation, not only for the government, for every individual, for every citizen, and every leader in this country about what happened from the 1st of August. Don't you think?
That's what they call stock taking. You take stock because after a while, if you have a business that you're growing, you find out whether the business is doing well, whether you're doing more of loss or more of gain. What's your balance sheet giving you? Then you will re-strategize as a company. A nation is like a company of a sort. It's a corporate entity with a government in place at the federal and some national levels. So when you find this moment of national, rupture occurring, it means that social forces have been unleashed. And this unleashment of forces didn't occur overnight, not even within the Tinubu presidency. It's been there brewing for years, if not decades. But when then
so the
these
Tinubu government just walked into the quagmire.
It's actually what I call intensification of the contradictions. Buhari intensified it, and this government is rather heightening it. That intensification of contradictions that will unleash social forces. If you look around, coming here, it was embarrassing that queues are in the filling stations. And petroleum products are not even available. Many are buying at 1,200 on the roadside.
It's actually concerning, isn't it? It's worrisome that the NNPCL is not saying anything about
Absolutely.
it. So it's kept mute.
This is part of the social forces.
What is causing it? We're not getting any explanation. And I'm not sure the federal government is in fact talking about it.
I'm not expert in that sector, but the point I'm making is that these are indicators that the system is choked up. And when it's choked up, it means that forces are beginning to brew all over the place. So 1st August was one in a series of, for me, a long stretch of eruptions that must be managed for the country to really get its bearing and develop.
So we could see more of agitation.
These things are scientific. When you unleash social forces, if you can't contain hunger, constrain poverty, you can reduce insecurity, people can find petroleum product, because at cutthroat prices. If they find there's a sense of angst and discontent in the land, and this is not being ameliorated, much more convulsive processes and situations will be unleashed further down the line. So it's a lesson for the government, not just at the national level. It's a lesson for the government, even at the subnational level.
But it does look like the state government and the local government wanted to shield themselves, or it looked like it was a problem with the federal government, and some of us actually highlighted the fact that government is government at all strata. Every government had to come out to defend the fact that there is hardship, there is hunger in the land. So this is not a Tinubu government alone.
Let me give an example. Let me give an example. The Council of State made the other day and gave a vote of confidence
On the president.
on the president.
And his government.
The Council of State, as powerful as that body is, because it's an advisory body made up of a club of former presidents and heads of state and so on, as powerful as that entity is in terms of the people that populate it, it is not their business to give vote of confidence, one way or the other. It's a business to assess the situation in the country and advise the president. Vote of confidence is secure from the people. That's where the mandate derived from, not from the council. So it is on poverty that's going to give vote of confidence when it is reduced. It is going to be hunger that will give vote of confidence when it is reduced. But only products will give vote of confidence when it is reduced. And we hope the government is going to work extra hard to get those things done well. I'll give you another example based on the point you raised. The governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, for example, spoke passionately and said, not only the president, but every one of us political leaders should be held accountable for what went wrong. Bauchi indeed put a robust anti-protest mechanism. But on the day, the people erupted and the governor didn't say, oh my God, this picture is not as pretty as we thought. Mr. President, are you hearing it? We at the subnational level, we're feeling the pinch and feeling the heat. Therefore, we need to work extra hard to regain the confidence of the people.
So nobody can duck any longer.
They can't duck.
Yeah, you have to face the reality.
I can duck and see what the state governors
The
are.
eruptions is going to catch up with everybody.
See what the state governors are doing. They are rapidly now accelerating the democratization processes at the local government level because of the Supreme Court ruling.
At least 4 or 5 states.
More than that, that means when they have those elected officers, both the chairman and the councillors, they too occupy their own democratic position to say, hello, the people who put you in are watching you. The same way they're watching the governors and watching the president, everybody is going to be under intense scrutiny.
The sky is falling, it's going to fall on anyone.
Everybody said. So the most important thing is not to say PDP or APC or NMPP or Labour Party. It is the business of the political class to ensure there is public order and social stability. But it is the business of the president and his team to organize the political order. And I said in my piece, which is trending everywhere, that the president is operating from the margins and periphery of the political state. That means he must move into the center. In 1999, Obasanjo won decisively and said, I can't even govern alone, even with my victory. I need the two other parties, AD and APP, to come and help rebuild this country already choked down by convulsions. And then he set up the Office of Inter-Party Affairs, appointed the chairman of APP. Then he incorporated Uncle Bola Ige, remember very well, as Attorney General. He brought in Adesanya's daughter, brought in Shatta of APP, brought in Ezife of AD into the cabinet to give that sense of elite consensus, which is the first step in building national consensus.
So we need a government of national unity.
This government is
narrow.
That
what we need?
It's narrow. It's not even in the classic sense of government of national unity. He's got a mandate of a sort. That means he could govern the way he likes. But nobody wants to leave office as a president broken and forgotten by history. You need to leave a legacy. The way to do it is to engage, embrace the political class, embrace the political state.
You don't see the president doing any of that now.
I don't know what it is, him or people around him. It is important that he begins to listen to the people and listen to even voice of patriots all over the country. If you look at the coalition that brought him to power in 2023, that coalition is even weakening. If you look at the cast of the people and the geography of that coalition, it's weakening. That means he needs to rebuild his political, muscle all over. It happened to Clinton in 1992. He won decisively. By 1994, his presidency had virtually crumbled and collapsed. He had to reinvent it in 1996.
And his party could not even hold, they couldn't retain power.
If
the Republican Bush
took
came
over,
in,
absolutely. So if you have the president who is operating as if policies will help the day, policies could help if the policies are populist. They're not populist. You can't remove subsidy.
Unfortunately, there are those who believe that, look, our nation needs some very strong policies, albeit very unpopular. That the policies that will take us to the next level will not be popular policies. It will take strong, decisive leaders to be able to make those policies. Unfortunately, it seems that that's what Bola Tinubu is stepping into.
The contradiction there is this. If you want to embrace populist domain, the people, you must, in essence, enunciate policy programs or prescriptions that is going to sit well with them. Whether it works in the short term or long term or mid term. It can then isolate the elite and say, I'm working with the people because that is where my power lies.
Well, anyways, their party's philosophy is welfareism.
But then,
it's the left of the center.
Yeah, sure.
So when we imagine that those policies should be,
absolutely,
that should be popular
but
with
then
people.
if you don't embrace the elite and alienate them, and the new liberal economic model from the Western world, from Washington, London, it's the one driving you. You neither have the elite to compensate for the lack of popular support. You neither have the people because the policies are perceived to be anti-people. That means you're caught in between. You cannot, even if I take a view that you need bold, vigorous, transformative, difficult policies to move a country. If you don't get the politics right, you can't get the economics right. What is tried to do in the past 1 year is to get the economics right, but abandoning the political space and the political state to whoever I don't know. That is why everybody who is part of the contestation of power a year ago are rioting, political riot. I think of PDP doesn't seem to understand, believe that this government protects the interests of his constituency in power and politics. PWB is all over the place. So do something. You need to bring them and tamp down the rhetoric. It's your job as the president to do so. And people who are around you as handlers must understand that he has to pierce through the scaffold of a narrow terrain of power within the villa to embrace the outer world. That's what I'm coming.
So you need a strong political advisor.
I don't even
that will stand in the gap.
Remember what happened when the governor of Bauchi State spoke. The message from there, Dogara and the rest of said, "Oh, he's attacking the president." Oh, he's like, no, it is not. Loyal opposition means.
I saw your piece when you talk about the diatribe.
It's important because if you speak as a governor of a state, Bauchi in this instance, they said, my people are hurting, and they're pointing fingers at me. They're pointing fingers at you too. You should construe that as tough love. The governor loves the system loves the state to be stable, the state to be cohesive, to be coherent. But point it out powerfully that the president and his team need to sit up the way the governors themselves need to sit up too. When we sit up at the national, subnational, and local level, when the people engage with us and we understand their pain and work towards ameliorating their pain, this country will see moments of growth and progress.
Prof, what you're saying in essence is that whatever we saw from the 1st of August is just a child's play. It's just a tip of the iceberg, and that we could see more of agitation if immediate and urgent steps are not taken.
You know what? We don't want to. As patriotic forces, myself inclusive, as one of the founding fathers, if I'm not too old to be, if I'm not as old enough to be a father, the founding uncles of this republic, we paid our dues from 6-time detention under Abacha. Those national security, one of the leading parties then, conferences upon conferences across the world and here to build the infrastructure of democratic governance that many are tearing down. It's our duty to hold this baby firm, no matter how the baby is full of what. As I said, the first one at the political level, convene a meeting of the top leaders of this country, the party chairman of these 4 parties, the National Assembly, NAS, both the minority and majority, the chairman of Governors Forum, National, chairman PDP Governors Forum, bring them together in a conclave, in the villa, shut the door, and tell yourself the political truth. No one party can run this country alone. No one faction of the political leader can run this country alone. Inanimate the office of the special advisor inter-party affairs. Let it be almost a cabinet level position. Bring an inclusive political person there who understands the terrain and is very easy with you. Easy with Atiku, easy with P2B, easy with Kwankwaso, and filling that gap. Let it be the one to do the legwork. Politics will continue, contestations will continue, policy differences will continue, but will be done with amity and sense of conviviality.
Well, let me bring this. Patriots. The Patriots is a group, of course.
That's a different thing from Nigerian Patriots.
Absolutely, the Nigerian Patriots.
This one is a group.
That's what
I'm part of that group anyway.
So, and we've seen the Professor Wabweze
in the past, FRA and so on.
Williams and the lines. But they've gone, led by Emeka Nyoku, a very well-respected Nigerian. And they are asking, is very also important. A lot of people have debated it.
For a new constitution.
For a new constitution. Birthing a new constitution, do you think that is
at the level of a powerful political or nationalistic rhetoric is a wise call. But unfortunately, there was a closure in 1998 with the death of Abacha and the death of Abiola, who won election, and the coming to power of Salami Abubakar. Abubakar met the leaders of Nadeko and said, go run election. We said, we don't need election. We don't need a constitution. We need a sovereign national conference. We need to restructure this country. You said, my people in the army do not know what you're talking about. They think you want to break up the country, but if you run an election, you win. Run on that premise. We went to form a party, AD. They gave us a constitution. We blindly accepted that constitution, thinking that in a future date, on determined future date, we could revisit that. But the closure has occurred because this president has been sworn in, and parliament have been sworn in. To bring a new constitution, you must therefore do two things. Obey the laws of constitutional gravity. That means go to the text of the existing constitution and amend it as specified by it. Or disobey the law. That means destroy the constitutional state. Ujimoro did it in 1992. I will not say in public, on air.
What happened?
He won.
The consequences.
He won and didn't want the constitution. He needed a better constitution. We know what he did. He never said to have a new constitution. It's not the call of the president. The president can only persuade. At the end of the day, the parliament must intervene.
But does this parliament look like the kind of parliament?
I'm saying that like, as passionate as the call by the patriots I'm part of, maybe it's rhetorical. Because at the end of the day, there are three ways you can get a new constitution. You must dislodge the existing democratic order by through popular insurrection, displace it from this place and say, there's vacuum. And then you now bring in a conference with constitutive powers. Two, you can do what Fujimori did, which I will not say on air. Number three is to persuade the president that they're trying to do, that will persuade the parliament and persuade regional communities and nationality groups. From ACF, Northern Elders Forum, to PANDEF, Afenifere, must come together because the senators and reps bear loyalty substantially to them, not just to the parties. If they say no to the president and tear that document called the new constitution and use it as a toilet paper, so be it. To overwhelm it means you must overpower the constitutional state.
Anyway, there are those who will say we've had constitutional conferences in 2005 under Obasanjo. Jonathan did another in 2014.
It was not going to work.
And yeah.
This president is, and as I said, with even a weakened power base, which I'm stressing on air for the president to understand, he has a weak political infrastructure he's running with. He needs to rebuild it. He can't even go to him in a state in which the North, apparently political not seem to be rioting. You find that the political East is still not on board. You find that the South seems to be neither here nor there. Okay, you need to have all these people politically on board. That part of presidential power we are projecting. When they're on board, and then the patriots come with the urging for a new constitution, then it is possible that the president can flex his muscle.
Give me a moment.
Use his capital.
Yeah, give me a moment. Let's take our first break on the program. But when we return, I'll be getting the closing argument from Professor Udenta on the state of the nation. There's some very strong advisory coming from one man who has perhaps seen it all in this Fourth Republic.
Going to mainstream civil society concerns and strategic, vision into governance programming. They need to have another advisor on civic relations.
You mentioned this politically sophisticated mechanism.
But easy. It's easy to do. We can do it.
You've worked with President Tinubu before.
Well, I have.
Do you think that political sagacity can be so calm to absorb this kind of advisory that this trajectory that you're talking about?
The strength I know about him 26 odd years ago, 25, 24 odd years ago, is that effervescent mind and ability to engage, roll the sleeve, let there be argument and disputations. Let us talk. Whatever it takes to reach consensus, we will. But over the years, as expected, he wasn't just a governor over the years. He became a former governor, became a leader of a political force in the Southwest, a member of the National Political Leading Group, helped to facilitate the president coming to power. Now he's the president himself. A lot happens. The human, can they be transformed into something beyond the human? That means, I don't know, whether it's essential that he still have the same passion for debate, for contestation of ideas as he used to have. He should have it now.
And you think this antidote will work?
If he works reasonably, the economic dimension is going to flow with it.
All right.
If it doesn't work, the country is in serious trouble, in dire straits.
Professor Udenta, thank you so much indeed. We are at a crossroad. We need a direction, and we need a leader that will be firm enough. And I dare say, anyone that makes those tough decisions and get Nigeria working will be a legend, a hero that will never be forgotten. Absolutely. But thank you so much for your insight.
It's a pleasure.
We take another break, everyone. But when we come back, we look at the mess that we have found ourselves in this oil and gas sector.
That is just the problem we are having. So we have the petroleum reserve, We have gas, we have oil reserve in large volume, very good compared to our population. Very good. We are very endowed.
We can be sufficient.
Very sufficient.
I mean, there are those who believe that, okay, yeah, if Nigeria could not manage its refineries, 4 of them, and over the years, the first one came, we thought that it wasn't sufficient. We built the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. And we thought with those 4 refineries, we should have some sufficiency and also even sell to other countries the refined product. But for several years, we've been doing turnaround maintenance of these 4 refineries. And we came with Dangote Refinery. Oh, we thought that is a miracle from the private sector, one of the biggest that we've seen in the industry. Well, it doesn't look like the Dangote Refinery, which from the private sector, is going to fix anything. In fact, it's also having its own problems.
No. Look, Sheung, since independence in 1960, Dangote Refinery is the first mega industrial project that is putting us on the status of economic sovereignty. Our political sovereignty and economic sovereignty since 1960 has never been as concretized as the completion of Dangote Refinery. It's the most significant achievement since 1960.
Really?
Yeah. And I will prove it. Even not Ajaokuta is a child's play.
Ajaokuta
is a child's play.
Ajaokuta never rose
LLNG is just a unit of Dangote Refinery. LLNG in Bonny.
So that's how
it's just
big
a
Dangote
unit. Yes,
is.
exactly. So this is the only man that is emancipating us economically. And I will give you the entire value chain of that refinery. The value chain of that refinery, from the cracking unit of crude to the petrochemical unit to all the byproducts. Nigeria, for the first time, we are going to have our economic sovereignty.
If it works well.
It has to work.
But Dangote,
it must work.
Can Dangote Refinery, products refined from Dangote Refinery, can it sufficiently feed Nigeria for all its finished product needs?
Yes, for now. At this stage of our development and the population growth, yes. Because the 4 government-owned refineries combined, the small one in Port Harcourt built in 1965, the bigger one built in 1988, and the Warri Refinery built in 1978, Kaduna 1980, combined will not give Nigeria more than maybe 20 million liters a day of petrol. So that is the 4 combined. And today Nigeria is consuming maybe about 40 million. Dangote Refinery alone will do about 50 million liters of petrol per day. So that means he's going to secure this country. And because the rate at which electric vehicle is coming, the energy balance will just make us to succeed in transiting to electricity. What we get from Dangote Refinery in the next 5 to 10 years will help us to transit to electricity.
But if this is the case, I mean, you are the expert here, and there are a whole lot of arguments about the Dangote Refinery, the status, what the quota in which it will get. Our understanding that about 350 or 450 barrel is what can be given by the NNPCL to Dangote. Is that right?
Yeah, so you see, whatever volume or quantity they want to give, look, NNPC that is supposed to give it, are you sure they even have the capacity to give? NNPC does not produce petroleum crude oil. NNPC just manages documents for us. It's a clerical entity. That whole place is just a bureaucratic clerical entity. They don't produce. They have 60% in some of these assets. They have 55% in some of these assets. But they produce nothing. Show me one rig they have. They don't, even the GMD himself, how many times have you been to the rigs? He's a politician now. He just go about following politicians. It's not a technocrat
you don't think
anymore.
He's doing
so
a good
they
job?
Cannot give.
You don't think
they cannot give
Melekari is doing a good job?
Which good job is he doing?
No, but
because we pretend in this country we don't say the truth. Which good job is
the man has gotten a second?
His team has failed the country.
How do you mean?
His team has failed the country.
That would be unfair if you cannot substantiate what you mean by that.
What can I not substantiate? For the last 10 years, have you hit 2 million barrels per day with your reserve?
Is it Melekari's fault? Is it Melekari's fault?
It's the system. If you are the head, you resign. If it is...
Come back, my beautiful people. Oh my God, Nigeria. Nigeria is a cruise. So this country is a cruise. Guys, have you heard? You have listened and you have watched the video from speaking to Odenta, and Mr. Daniel is talking about oil. You know, according to him, he said Dangote is the right person, and he has been investing, is growing the economy of Nigeria. That you cannot use Dangote refinery to compare to other refineries. So guys, hey, have you guys heard? That is what is trending. That is what is going on. And for this Nigeria and Chinese, Ogun State government and Chinese coming to Nigeria president, federal government of 18. Guys, when Nigeria or when Ogun State government was doing business, according to what Shegun said, that they did a deal of fencing a company or fencing somewhere around, and they did not do it rightly. So they have been battling front and forth, or in and out of it. They have been battling of all these things. See, my own take on this is that you see Chinese. What I would say is that one day, my people, one day Nigeria will wake up and see that Chinese government has captured Nigeria. Chinese government has surrounded Nigeria with this what did they call it, with weapon, that every Nigerian should leave Nigeria, that they are taking over because of credit. Because what Nigerian has been doing, going to Chinese to do a lot of business, borrowing money without our consent, without our notice. When they were doing this transaction, nobody knows about it. Yes, they did it and they never paid back. You know, agreement is agreement. If they are owing Chinese companies, they should pay Chinese companies. They should not allow going there to borrow more money, borrowing more money, doing business with Chinese people. Very soon, oh, my people, very soon. I'm just saying this on what I really know. Very soon, I've said it. Chinese will come and take over Nigeria because of debt. Because when you keep on doing business with them and you cannot pay back, you do with them and you cannot pay back, they will come one day and just say, this is like this. And you people know that Chinese, their population is top notch. The whole world are afraid of Chinese. Their population, if they enter Nigeria, say they want to take over Nigeria, nobody can fight them. Everybody will just be packing his load and be running. There's a comedy, there's a comedy video I watched in TikTok, and it was like a play, it was like a comedy. But I tell you people today that one day that thing will happen. That comedy was, it was a skit. It was a skit. They added a skit. Some skit makers, they just added a skit. That everybody was running here and there. That Chinese people have brought one chemical, and they have thrown the chemical in Nigeria. Everybody in Nigeria is now speaking Chinese. People were turning to white people. The people hair was dropping like white people hair. That Chinese has come because. So in that skit, they asked, what happened? They said because the debt, the credit Nigeria is owing Chinese, they could not pay it. So China now has come to take over Nigeria. So my people, and we saw it that it was a skit, and we saw it that it was a play. We laugh and we laugh. I'm telling you the gospel truth. One day, Chinese people or China will come and take over Nigeria. You see this Nigeria, people should just forget them. So when you are doing your things, just be doing it and be praying, because it's not easy. Anyway, what this Mr. Odenta has said, that these things has not been something of today, that what they need, Nigeria need now, is everybody to come together and let Nigeria work. We should forget about parties. We should forget about tribes. We should forget about Labour Party, Peter Obi, Kwangu, so this and that. Everybody should come together and let Nigeria work. And I think in that point there, he said the right thing. He just made it clear. And what I really think that would happen in Nigeria should happen. What I really think that it should happen in Nigeria. You know, there's a video I did, and I was talking that the only problem Nigeria have is, you know, is unity. When Nigeria come together in one unity, we are going to rule this country. Yes. For example, now, any government that is sitting there, or any party or anybody that is sitting there that is not giving us what he promised Nigeria, we have our right to march to that distance and throw him out of that seat. But in Nigeria, it cannot happen because some people are fighting. It's my person. We speak the same language. We speak the same tribe. Some people are fighting. It's my party. We cannot take my party. They are doing very, very well. Some people are thinking, oh, I'm in this government. I'm in that government. So even though even though everything is wrong, it's right. Anyway, my people, you guys have heard though. I don't have much to say. You have heard everything and you have watched the video. So if you have watched to this time, thank you very much. Please subscribe, like, share, and I will see you in my next one. Bye for now.